This is the first book I have all of my new clients read. Check it out. Welcome back. My name is Annie Henderson. I'm a life coach here in North Texas with clients all over the world. Today, we're going to talk about the book, The Four Agreements, and why it is vital for you going forward and making changes in your life. The book is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's a self-help book that advocates for freedom from self-limiting beliefs that have been holding you back. These self-limiting beliefs typically rob us of joy, and it creates needless suffering. So keep listening to this video if you want to learn more about what helped me transform my life, what's helped my own kiddo have such a positive and confident high school experience, and more. The first time I read the book, The Four Agreements, it was a bit of a challenge. My mind was in this little box. God was in this box, what people could do, what people could make, a very 9-to-5 thinking, very passed down, a lot of generational curses that hadn't yet been broken. So when you first dive into the book, it talks about being domesticated by society, by church, by our families. And the title, The Four Agreements, it talks about how we agree to some of these beliefs from other people. And when we agree to something that might not even be true, it stings. So in this book, it talks about how societal norms and beliefs are just passed down from generation to generation. And there's never a questioning of why. It's just an acceptance that this is the way things are, whether it has to do with church or sexuality or racism or anything that should have died off a long time ago, but it keeps getting passed from one to another, usually with some guilt and fear around it. So when I read this book, it was very eye-opening, because when you're domesticated, you're brought up thinking this is good and this is bad. This is right, this is wrong, this is girl, this is boy, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. Does that sound familiar to you? And sometimes, somewhere along our path and our journey, we start to maybe question a little bit. And we're like, that doesn't seem right. And then we shove it down because that's the way we've always believed. It goes back for generations. But I want to urge you to realize this is the time for you and your kids. Start breaking generational curses. You don't have to keep going on this path. I did a video a while back about sunk cost fallacy. And even though you've started and you're so far along this path, it doesn't mean you have to start over, right? It is time to shift and pivot and go, you know what? I actually don't believe that. It doesn't feel right in my heart. Why am I struggling with this? Why is this so painful and hard? So with that said, let's get on to the first agreement, which is be impeccable with your word. Now, what does that mean? Be impeccable with your word talks about using our word, right? Our powerful voice, written word, texting, all the ways that we are able to communicate. Are we using it for good and for love? Are we using it to lift people up, encourage and love on others? And this one I hear a lot with my clients. What are we doing with the word when it comes to ourselves? Are we talking poorly about our body? Are we calling ourselves stupid, ugly, unworthy, not enough? If you're watching this, especially if you are someone that has ever considered working with me, that is probably hitting home right now. And I want you to know you're not alone. This is kind of how we are brought up. It's not healthy, but for you to be here and listening to this, it's important because once you have that awareness, you can start making changes. So the reminder for this one is use words intentionally to encourage, to spread love, hope, not to just simply react or get defensive, but how do you want you to be remembered? Snapping at people, being angry constantly, gossiping about people behind their back, hating and bullying on yourself in front of others or even your kids? I hope not. The second agreement is don't take things personally. This is a big one, and it can really hinder how you show up in the world. So if someone comes to you and they say something right to your face, they say, you are the worst mom. You are the worst friend. It can be difficult not to take that personally, right? They said it right to my face. How could it not be personal? But based on their own mental health, if they're sick in the moment, have they had enough sleep? Are they struggling with these four agreements themselves? Do they lash out and react to others because something happened to start their day off wrong? So if you can learn to live in the neutral, it is a place of peace. But I get it. It's not hard, but it's unfamiliar, and it takes practice to get there and to practice not taking things personally. So you might not be there yet, but go through those stages of awareness. Okay, why am I took it personally. That's why I'm struggling right now. This is why, this feels horrible. And then each time getting closer and closer to having a different perspective, right? Distancing yourself from what's going on and going, they must be having a rough time. They must be struggling. And then the book even goes into saying, you know what? It goes on the flip side too. If they say something great about you, like, you are the best, I simply love you. They could be just having a great day. Now, personally, my love language is words of affirmation. I love to hear the great things. So I'll still receive that. But there is a side of me that knows they're having a great day. They're in a great mood. They are feeling loving and giving with their words, and I will receive them. But I know their words do not make or break me, right? I have to have my own internal validation, because if I rely only on what other people out there think of me, it's going to be a struggle. So think about it. Take a moment to think of the people in your life who, if they say you look amazing, or are you going to wear that out? No matter what it is, think about if that will wreck your night, or if you are able to decide, we just have different tastes. Maybe they're jealous. Doesn't matter what it is. I do a compassion building exercise with my clients, and we talk about how it's a great way to practice is imagining you're driving in traffic, right? And a car cuts you off. Now, it can be easy to go into assumption making, which we'll get there in a second, about, they were probably on their phone, or sometimes we assume age or race, or that they're just a terrible driver, or whatever it is. It could be gender. No matter what it is, we can jump to assumptions. The healthier version of that is come up with 3 to 5 different ways and reasons why that could have happened. They just spilled hot coffee on their pants. They just had a horrible fight with their wife at home. And they're emotional, trying to drive through tears. One of my clients' favorite is they have diarrhea. They're trying to get to a bathroom as soon as possible. They gotta go. Right? So maybe someone's in the hospital and they're trying to get there. Maybe someone just died in their life, right? So when we do that, we build compassion and we're like, oh, I can give them some more grace when I'm not assuming horrible things on their part. Does that make sense? So notice how you felt just as I was telling the story and going through those different things. If you assume they're on the phone and they're an irresponsible driver, you feel disgusted and no patience. If you imagine that they just lost someone close to them or they're urgently speeding to the bathroom, there's a little more compassion, a little more grace for them to get where they need to be, and gratitude that that's not us. Right. The next agreement is don't make assumptions. This one, I remember going through a grocery store with my ex, and we were walking past some people, and it was someone from church. And when we left, he said, did you see that? They didn't even say hi to me. It was really offended and hurt. What I was able to see was you also didn't say hi to them. What is happening, right? So he was assuming they were doing things intentionally. I used to teach the same kind of lesson when I was a elementary school counselor. And we would talk about how, if the teacher comes in and she's just, maybe she had a bad day, she's in a horrible mood, do we assume that she hates us? Can there be same compassion building exercise? Are there so many different reasons why someone doesn't say hi to us? I know personally, my vision is getting worse. I might see a blob version of you from a distance, but not be able to tell even who it is, right? So there's so many different reasons. If we can give ourselves and others grace and not pretend that we are mind readers or that we can predict the future or know why anyone chooses to do anything that they do, more peace can be in your life. So with this third agreement of don't make assumptions, the key here is communication. As Brené Brown says, clear is kind. So if you're assuming someone is mad at you or is going to break up with you, whatever it is, you need to be able to ask questions. You need to be able to communicate. Now, I know if you struggle with people pleasing, that's a big one. People pleasers tend to avoid conflict, which means communication is not your forte. This is also something that with practice becomes easier and more familiar. So asking the question lets you possibly get off the hook, because if you actually know the correct answer and what is going on, you can breathe easy versus assuming the wrong thing for hours or days or even weeks. Give yourself a break and communicate. Ask those questions. And finally, the fourth agreement is always do your best. You might have heard that from when you were a kid even. Always do your best. It's going to look different when you're tired. Your best is going to be different when you're sick, when you're grieving. So notice, and if you try your best, given the energy that you have, the understanding, the information, then you will be less likely to beat yourself up afterwards because you did what you could. Now, I know some of you are very talented at beating yourself up, and that's something to work on. If you need to sign up for a one-on-one consultation call, I'm here to help you with this and everything that we just talked about, all of the 4 agreements. Because I promise you, if you start to read and implement these, it will change your life. Now, a lot of us get into the habit of consuming courses or books or TED Talks, and then immediately forgetting and going on our way. So, from what you heard today, there's so many paths that you can take. You can go by the book so you can really get it and understand it. This isn't a book that you read once. Now, let me tell you this, it's a pretty short book. It's not a really lengthy thing, which means you can read it. I don't recommend reading it all in one sitting. For my clients, I tell them to read it once. So like read the first chapter, give it a couple of days, maybe even a week, just to absorb the information and really think about maybe how you were raised, how this applies to your life currently, and what you would like to be different. Then read the next chapter. You could take notes. You could put it in your calendar as a reminder. You could also sign up for a one-on-one consultation call so that you have support and guidance with using that information we just discussed to move forward so you can be a better mom, so you can go to work and not take things personally or make assumptions, so that you can also teach this same material to your kids and be there for them when they go to high school and they start to have these same struggles that you might have had for years and decades now. Even if they're in college or beyond, this is a book that if you read it and you say, whoa, this could have had things look so different these past few years or decades, it's something you can share with them now. So I hope this was helpful. Next Monday will be a new video just for you. Like, comment what stood out to you, which one affects you the most right now, and subscribe. I would love to see you back each week. Take care, everyone.